Greetings, my Rotary family. Coming to you live today from the presidential office here in our headquarters in Evanston, Illinois. I am joined by our International Vice President, Nicki Scott, who is from England. And we're in the office the first time that a woman has actually assumed this office, which is notable because we are celebrating International Women's Day.
We are.
We are. A chance to look at incredible women across the Rotary world and beyond, and to look at how we can raise each other up.
Yes, so this is a globally celebrated event to basically raise awareness around inclusion of women, not just for the sake of it, because there's many proven benefits of including women at the table economically and just for the greater diversity and all that brings to the table. So we want to hear from you in the chat room if you would let us know, how are you celebrating this fantastic day today?
We've been striving to achieve 30% of female membership in our organization for the past several years. And we're getting there. We're somewhere between 26 and 27%. And I was really hoping we were going to achieve it by the end of this Rotary year. So we've got a little bit of work to do, a call to action to everyone out there to bring in the best people, men and women. But certainly we have an underperforming market share. And as business leaders and thought leaders in our community, it's an opportunity for us to look to the best and the brightest and help them to join us in our quest to build equity in our organization.
Nice challenge to see if we can get there before the end of this Rotary year, Jen.
I think we can. I think we can. I'm an optimist. We are going to have a conversation with a number of women today, a wide range of female Rotarians, and also we're going to be talking with some people from outside of our organization as well. But the next conversation that we're going to have is with our Executive Committee Chair of our Rotary International Board, Elizabeth Usovicz, and she is also the chair of our Empowering Girls program initiative, which we have ambassadors across the globe, because empowered girls become empowered women. Stay tuned. That's next. I'm so excited to be joined by Elizabeth Usovicz. She is the Executive Committee Chair of Rotary International's board and the founding chair of our Empowering Girls movement that started just about a year and a half ago. Elizabeth, welcome. And I am so excited to chat a little bit today about what we've seen happen, because this is a movement that has, well, it's become a movement and it's really taken off across the globe, hasn't it?
It really has. And it's great to be here. And I'm very excited about this initiative and how Rotary members around the world have embraced this and really supported and engaged, helping girls and women to recognize and own their own power. It's amazing.
You know, you say own their own power, and it's interesting because we've been having this chit chat about, we've been challenged a little bit on the term empowering girls, because as it's been expressed to us, it inherently says they don't have power. And we're looking to make sure they step into their full power and their full potential. How are you dealing with that? Because it's an interesting space that we're in right now.
It is an interesting space. And, you know, I think Rotary members have traditionally thought about these types of initiatives as projects. And the audience that are addressed by these projects as beneficiaries. And we're not in that space with girls. We are their allies, we are their supporters, we are their partners. And we provide resources, we provide tools, and they empower themselves. And it's a very beautiful development that happens when Rotary members realize that and really take on that support role.
Oh, I love that.
Encouraging girls and women.
I love that. Now, we have a network of ambassadors around the world. Tell us a little bit about that.
We do, and they are wonderful. They are passionate and compassionate Rotary members who are engaged in creating the momentum and building the momentum for this initiative, encouraging clubs, providing them with the resources they need to, in turn, provide resources to girls and women. And they are the storytellers as well, which is so important. The initiatives that they're seeing, the impact that it's having, the girls and the women who are empowering themselves through these initiatives. They are telling those stories and helping to spread the word. And it is really powerful when you see how much of an impact globally we're having.
Well, and you and I have both had an opportunity to be in a number of different countries, meeting firsthand with many of these ambassadors and others that are doing this work, male and female. I have to say, and I'm sure you've had similar experiences, it is a very emotive topic. I've had more women come up to me telling their stories in very emotional ways, breaking into tears as they're talking about the kind of change that they're able to participate in. Have you experienced some of the same?
I have. And in seeing, for example, in India recently, seeing a young woman, maybe in her late teens, who had never had any autonomy, who went through a driving program, training program, and who is a delivery driver now. This is a woman, a young woman, who had never been in the front seat of a car.
Wow.
And now with this training, she is in the driver's seat of her own life. That is so empowering. And to talk with her, to see tears in her eyes, and the tears in the eyes of the Rotary members who supported this program, that is incredibly important and meaningful work that we're doing.
I love how you just said she's in the driver's seat of her life. Isn't that what we want for everyone?
Absolutely it is.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Absolutely it is.
So we know that this has been wildly successful on so many levels, and it's going to continue, isn't it?
It is going to continue. We are now in our second year. It will continue into next year. And I can't wait to see what the ambassadors do around the world, how Rotary members are really engaging and embracing this initiative. It is so important, and as we've talked about before, when a woman becomes empowered, when a girl recognizes and finds her power, she becomes a woman who can have a very positive impact, not only on her life, but her communities, and ultimately, with enough women who are empowered, the trajectory of an entire economy can be changed. That is extraordinary work. That's Rotary at its best.
Oh, I love that. And while we're talking about Rotary at its best, in the comments section, I know we have ambassadors who are watching this, and those of you who are unofficial ambassadors, tell us what you're doing. Tell us some of the stories that are going on live, the changes that you're seeing. And we'll have a chance to be able to read through those, help to comment along, and celebrate what we're all doing on International Women's Day to make the world a better place for girls and for women. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Elizabeth, for your leadership, because you really, truly have stewarded this through and made it an incredible program that is making a huge difference in our world.
Well, I think what has been a privilege is to work with all the Rotary members and ambassadors worldwide who are engaged and absolutely committed to this work. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. We're going to go check the chat in the comment section and see all of the different things that you're saying. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Welcome back. The Sylvia Whitlock Leadership Award is given annually to recognize either a man or a woman for elevating women within our organization. It was started back in 2017 in an ad hoc kind of capacity, and for the first time ever this year, it is now an official award of Rotary International. And we're going to be revealing this year's recipient in just a few moments' time, but an opportunity to really celebrate women, but not only that, recognize the first female club president, Sylvia Whitlock, for her contributions, and this will go on in perpetuity. You had a chance to talk to her recently. How did that go?
Do you know what, Jen? Sylvia is just so dynamic. She's 87 years young, going strong. And I had a chance to say, thank you, Sylvia, for the opportunities you've given so many women who have followed in your footsteps.
Yeah.
Women who have joined Rotary, led change, brought more women into Rotary. And I said, it's all because of you. Look what you started. And she said, everyone always wants to give me the credit. But the truth is, the person who deserves the credit is the man who invited me to join my club. Isn't that lovely?
She's so wonderful. And I can't help but reflect that it's kind of like the butterfly effect. One woman's actions, we wouldn't be sitting here today if it weren't for the fact that she was able to step into that role at that time. And the countless women that you just mentioned around the world wouldn't either. And I guess it makes me also reflect upon Paul Harris. And if he could know today what his actions and those of the other 3 members who started our organization, if they could know how that's trickled down to millions and millions and millions of people around the world, it's pretty spectacular. So we have a chance to hear from some of those recipients today. And you talked earlier with a gentleman who actually was in the Supreme Court, because it took a Supreme Court ruling in 1987 for women to join our organization. You talked to a guy who was there, didn't you?
I did. It was such a special moment. It was an event that Sylvia was speaking at, and he was holding back to meet her after the event. And he waited for everyone else to go because he wanted to have a little bit longer with her. And he said, "It was because of you that I was inspired to become a lawyer." That case was the case that inspired him. He was in the Supreme Court that day, and he said, I really wanted to join, become a lawyer, and to join Rotary at the same time. And it was thanks to Sylvia.
I know, and I've run into him a couple of times since then, and he's going on to different leadership positions in our organization. And so fascinating how all of that happened. So we're going to hear from a couple of the recipients of this award and hear some of their thoughts on what they think about it as well.
But Jen, you've been a recipient of this award. So
I was.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what that meant to you?
Well, it was during the pandemic, and so the Women in Rotary event was held online that year. And somehow or other, they orchestrated having the award shipped to my home. Nick and I were quarantining in our house, and at the appropriate time, he entered the room with the award. And I was really taken aback. I had no idea that that was going to happen. But what it means to me, you know, when I was first elected into this role, I was very forthright with how I positioned it about I was selected based on qualification, not on gender. And that's very true, and I still maintain that. But I've evolved personally in the past several months as I walk through this role in talking a little bit more openly, actually probably a lot more openly, about serving as our first female president, because I really believe that it's helping to break down stereotypes and barriers across the globe, that people can show up as their true, authentic selves. And I really love that that's a conversation that is happening with men and women. This is not simply a female-oriented issue. Celebrating International Women's Day, it really is an opportunity for us to look around at the men and women who have changed the face of our organization. So why don't we take a look at some of those recipients right now?
Greetings, everyone, from Anchorage, Alaska, where it's March 8th, International Women's Day, and a great day to be a woman. Actually, every day is a great day to be a woman. I am Carolyn Jones, past trustee of the Rotary Foundation of Rotary International and a recipient of the Sylvia Whitlock Leadership Award. For me, the award symbolizes giving credit where credit is due. Back in the 1970s, Sylvia Whitlock became the face of a little Rotary club in California that dared to take on the mighty Rotary International, an all-male organization that had intentionally excluded women from its ranks since the turn of the 20th century. It took 10 years and many levels of the American judicial system before Sylvia and her Rotary Club prevailed. Their courage and boldness to take this step and see it through to the end is the reason why we are all here today. Each and every one of us here is standing on the shoulders of Sylvia Whitlock. But for Sylvia, I would not be greeting you today.
This is really a special occasion. Our Women of Honor Award stands before me like an emblem. In fact, I have it standing right next to me. For me, it meant that this journey that I have made in Rotary, sometimes easily and sometimes on a stumbly path, has been worth every single moment of it. It wasn't easy at times. Yes, there were difficulties. I joined a club originally in emigrating to Canada and was asked to leave the club because I was a difficult woman. So you overcome those, you look past them, because in Rotary you find a mentorship. And the mentorship doesn't only come from the women around you, it also comes from the men. I have to thank so many of my male Rotarian compatriots for the support and the help that they have given me in journeying through Rotary?
As a recipient, I was quite shocked. Of course, I knew about Sylvia Whitlock. I've been around Rotary for over 50 years. My husband was a medical doctor and very dedicated Rotarian. So I went along with him and took our young daughters, who were very young, 4 and 6, to the refugee camps in Hong Kong. So we've had hands-on service of Rotary since I was quite young. We always had the feeling that Rotary was the vehicle, and still we believe Rotary is a vehicle that can achieve and help world understanding and peace be possible. So I just worked along with my husband in Rotary for a lot of years before I was actually a member myself. And so when I came to be a recipient of that award, I was shocked, number one, overwhelmed, number two, and honoured, very honoured, because all the work that other women have done and Sylvia Whitlock herself has done over the years to recognise women and their efforts, but realise that perhaps the efforts that had gone in all these years of working alongside my husband and with Rotary myself had been recognised and appreciated.
It's important that we continue with this, that we must continue the mentorship of the women that are coming in our footsteps behind us. Thank goodness there are so many women doing that now. We were so thin on the ground in the beginning, but now we stand together in a forest of women, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see. We need to be there together. We need to help each other. We need to support. We are women in Rotary.
I think that it is important to recognise everybody's efforts, and as women are, I think it took a long time for women to be accepted as Rotarians, and one of the neighbouring clubs to where I live, and this is in Western society in Perth in Australia, they've only just started to accept women into their club, more than 30 years down the track of women being able to join Rotary. So we're still breaking down barriers, and to recognise women's efforts and acknowledge them, I think is very important, because they're obviously still barriers to be broken down.
The Sylvia Whitlock Leadership Award is a permanent reminder we should not and will not ever forget how we got here. Today, you'll meet the newest recipient of the Sylvia Whitlock Leadership Award. This is our opportunity to recognize this recipient, as well as to celebrate the achievements of women, raise awareness of the barriers they face in their organizations and beyond, and build a supportive community to take collective action for fairness. To the recipient, we say, job well done. To the celebrants, we hope this recognition will motivate others to strive for excellence. And with the next wave of leaders, we will all benefit.
So wonderful to hear from some of the past recipients. And now it is time to reveal this year's recipient of the Sylvia Whitlock Leadership Award. And it is going to, drumroll please, Mei Lu of Taiwan, District 3481. And we are elated for you, Mei, all of your incredible contributions in more than 30 years of being a Rotarian in our organization. And during the pandemic, Mei actually started a club based on equal members of men and women. And currently she is serving as the district's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chair. So a heartfelt congratulations to you, Mei Lu. And I know that we have some of the additional things that she's done to receive this award. So Nicki, why don't you share a couple of these?
Mei Lu is clearly an extremely dynamic woman, and her passion for service has led her to support the advancement of women and girls around the world. Let me give you a few examples. Helping blind musicians purchase instruments, promoting employment assistance, and establishing rural medical centres. One of these musicians, a soprano, has since joined Rotary and enjoys the support and opportunity that it provides her.
That's wonderful.
Working with homeless girls in Nepal to provide food, uniforms, and sponsorships to attend school and learn to read. She also worked with the Nepalese government to help girls who had been trafficked to find stability and support. And supporting girls in Africa with sewing machines and material to create menstrual belts that allow them to attend school without interruption. And last but not least, collecting more than 20,000 books to fill 2 school libraries.
Well,
Wow.
she is certainly a remarkable woman. We both have the opportunity to know her, and so it's very special to be able to recognize her. But her work extends beyond Rotary as well, and I want to share with you that she serves on many boards and associations, including the National Council of Women, the Women's Federation for World Peace, and the Women's Entrepreneur Association. So we extend our heartfelt congratulations and celebration to Meilu on receiving this award. Congratulations.
May, I'm talking to you, May. You've been a Rotarian for almost 30 years. That's a long time, which means you started in Rotary right after the Supreme Court said women should be in Rotary. You were right there waiting. And I've looked at the things you've done for girls, so the work that you've done in the schools to keep girls in school during menstruation time and so on. You know, we say menstruation today. We never used to say it when I was a little girl in mixed company. But we can say it, and it's okay because we're working with those girls. So I congratulate you for the work that you're doing with blind people, for the ones you're doing with girls in school, for the ones you're doing with the girls in Nepal. You've had outstanding business awards, which means obviously you're not sitting still. You're doing something that's coming to someone's attention. And so I congratulate you heartily from the bottom of my heart. You are why we want women in Rotary, because there are women like you, a lot of women like you, that move the world.
I need to say thank you. Rotary International built a nice platform that people to join here, to make friends, to do services together and learning from each other around the world. And the most of all, the most important, you can stay here lifelong. And I feel is real excellent platform for women too. Yes. Do you know that? Why we need to increase women in Rotary? You know, the global population is divided equally between male and female. The ratio of men and women in Rotary is 75 to 25. You can see the proportion of female members has been increasing, right? But there is still a big room for growing. Since we just only 34 years, right? Compared to Rotary history, right? So we have 25. Now we have 25. We still a big scale. We can reach that target. And you see, just in our districts, 4 ladies, district governor, much younger than me. This year, our district governor, Wendy, she's just 46 years old, from Rotary Act. And to act as a district governor, I started to be a volunteer when I was a student at a young age. And I feel I was born this way with commitment and responsibility as a human being. In 2021, I decided to set up a new club. I made a decision to lead by example. And when it was chartered, the club members were all non-Rotarians. And most of them, they are young generation. Our average age just 43. And our focus is on the field of environmental protection. Of course, the other I need to mention about him. Past President Gary Huang. He always positive thinking, inspire, motivate, encourage. He organized our club. And when we chartered, we have 93 old ladies. Yes, it's the first female Rotary club in Taipei City. Yeah. And this award is a big present surprise to me. actually. And besides serving in Rotary, I've been actively involved in many other programs for decades in other international women's associations. I think we should extend the platform to work together with other associations. Yes. And as a senior Rotarian, I always think how to grow in Rotary. I think it's one of my responsibilities with this award. I should work harder to play my role. Rotary International motto is service above self. The Rotary Foundation's motto is doing good in the world. I think it's a very good time for us to promote DI nowadays. In Rotary, if we meet something, I always tell them it's nothing right or wrong, good or bad, just differences. We can learn how to work as a team while keeping mutual respect.
On this International Women's Day, it's wonderful to be able to share a great story with you about 3 generations of women in the same club. These are women in an E-Club in Rotary, Great Britain and Ireland. And in fact, the mother was the first one to join. She was a charter member. She decided to bring her mother in to Rotary. And then when they decided they wanted an Interact club, they said, why not have the daughter be the first charter president? And she was thrilled to be asked to do just that. The mum has actually since then become the first female president of the club. And I've really enjoyed hearing about how inclusive their club is, how it doesn't matter where anyone lives or what their circumstances are, they are able and welcome to be part of this club. So with no further ado, let's hear from them about why they love being Rotarians and a member of this E-Club. It's amazing to me that there's 2 women from the same family in one club, but I understand it's not just 2.
No, we have another one. We have another generation. Jasmine is also a Rotarian.
Jasmine, can we meet Jasmine as well? Oh my goodness.
Hello.
Hi, Jasmine. And how old are you, Jasmine?
I'm 21.
Wow, 3 generations of women in the same club. And how did you get involved then?
So with mum and nan being involved and dad as well, it was just kind of helping out on the weekends and stuff. When I was younger, the club's very family orientated. So there's always other children that used to come as well. And then I wanted to start up an Interact club at my school, which I did. And then when I turned 18, I joined as a Rotarian.
And you're very inclusive, I understand, as a club in many ways, multi-generational, diverse gender, and other aspects. I think you were telling me, Tracy, about how inclusive you've experienced the club to be.
Yeah, disability. I'm in a wheelchair. I'm a very high amputee, and our club makes sure that everybody can access an event. So we make sure there's ramps. We make sure that there's a chair that's taken away before you get there, so you're not made a spectacle of, and things like that. So it's been really good for me, really good. And we've also got another member since in a wheelchair, because she felt comfortable knowing that we'd already got somebody, and that we are all inclusive. Yeah, our club is very unique, and I was lucky to be able to join it because we're online. It didn't matter if I went to meetings or if I didn't come to meetings, if I could make an event or not. We're really relaxed.
I wouldn't have been a Rotarian if it wasn't for the E-Club. I was working full-time as a teacher. The kids were still smallish, so they were still doing all the things, dancing and sports and all sorts. But the E-Club allowed me to be a Rotarian because we met online. I didn't have to go to a certain venue every week to have a meal, listen to a speaker. We still did those kind of things, but we just did them differently. So without the E-Club meeting online, I wouldn't have been a Rotarian.
Tracy, why don't you tell Sylvia a little bit about the fantastic opportunity you had to help with the Ukrainian situation, if you would, with the club?
Yeah, I was traveling home one day and Ukraine was on my mind, and I called my daughter to tell her I was home because she likes to know where I am. And she said, "Oh, you're home, Mum? Well, I'm going to Poland." And I said, "Funny that. I've been thinking about it all day." So Angela and I both hopped on a plane and went to Poland and volunteered in a refugee centre that had 5,000 refugees going through a day. And that was very humbling to be part of that.
You weren't able to join them in Poland, but I understand you have a great project that does help children get to school and children in need, and around collecting coats. So could you tell us a little about that?
So yeah, so with Mum being a teacher, she obviously sees firsthand children that come from families that can't necessarily like afford certain things, such as, you know, kids just showing up to school with a coat when it's cold. So we saw this need for it, and we started Coats for Kids, which allowed people to buy like a voucher, which then got sent to either a school of their choice or one that we knew was in the local area that had children that had a need for this. The parents then got given the voucher, were able to shop online to the website that we kind of created, so that, you know, the kids got a brand new coat. They didn't know it was gifted from somebody else. It wasn't like a handout. It was a new coat, and the kid, you know, could go to school and be warm.
And I think it's just the buzz that our club gives off, really. We do Rotary in a hands-on, find a need, try and fix it, and have a great time at the same time.
Late last fall, I had the opportunity to meet an incredible woman, Nobel Laureate Leymah Gbowee. Leymah is celebrating the 10th anniversary of her Peace Foundation, and we had a conversation. She was actually interviewing me along with several other women about the role of women in leadership and in creating peace in our world. She is going to be a keynote speaker at our international convention in Melbourne, and today I wanted you to have a chance to listen in to the chit-chat that we had earlier this year.
As part of the work that we are doing in Liberia recently, we decided that while school is important for the girls, for some of the girls who cannot go back or who are threatened in their communities, and boarding schools are not easily found in some spaces in Liberia, we're deciding to do a space for girls, a sustainable space for girls. And the idea is exactly as you're saying, educate them, but also creating an environment where they can thrive. So go to school, but learning other skills to become productive citizens. And then coming back to the statistics of girls in primary school, and then high school, and then college. And I think this is the vision for what we do at GPFA, that we provide these, with our mantra is empower to inspire. So we're empowering young girls and helping them so that the next time they can inspire others to say, okay, I just don't want to be a 6th grader. I want to be a 9th grader. I want to be a 12th grader. You mentioned going to the refugee camp, and it's always very close to my heart when people talk about going to refugee camps and engaging, because at 17, when the war started, I would say my family were one of the few in the groups that went to the Buduburam refugee settlement in Ghana. So, and I know what it is being a young girl, even though I had graduated from high school, but my nieces and nephews were in the primary school on the refugee camp. So I understand all of these things, living in a congested space, having no hope, being arrested. And the times now is really, time is calling for peace and justice in a new world order. How do you see that, Jennifer? And what role do you see for girls and women in that?
At the same camp that I was at, I had a chance to sit and talk under a sort of a shredded up old tent with 20 women, and they had all recently come into the camp. I said to them, I just asked them a question. I said, what do you need? What is it? What do you want? What do you need? And because they were telling me about their families, and not one of them asked for money.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them asked for opportunity. And I think that's huge. They when I said, what kind of opportunity are you looking for? I want to be able to create product so that I can sell something, so that I can have money, so that I can feed my family, and so that I have a way to make it better to help educate my children. So there was a direct line. These are people who came with other lives from before they arrived there, that had whatever it was that they left it all behind, but that chance for opportunity. And I think that's just a big part of what we're working on, certainly as an organization, is how do we identify those needs, and instead of imposing on people what we think they need, asking them, and then working collaboratively together to help create solutions so that we can honor each other. I think a big part of peace is listening and understanding what the need is, and then collaborating, figuring out the way forward together.
I believe that ending wars is one thing, but peace is not just about ending wars. It's about creating an environment where everyone feels like I'm a human, I belong. This world exists because of people like myself. So, and that's exactly what you're saying. And Jennifer, one of the joys that I have of meeting you and partnering with you is that together we can join forces, join resources, and create that kind of atmosphere and space for many young girls to dream, to be the next Jennifer Jones, to be the next Leymah Gbowee, to be the next Wangari Maathai. I'm grateful that you are in this space as a leader in the world when the world needs leaders of compassion, leaders who are thinking of choice for people that they serve, and servant leaders.
As we wrap up this International Women's Day broadcast, I'm so glad that we got a chance to share it together, and I'm so glad we had a chance to share it with all of you. The comments have been flying by from across the world, and most importantly, I gotta say, I want to give a big shout out to all of our Rotaractors who were commenting from across the globe as well. They've already achieved gender parity, and we have a lot to learn from each other and take a page out of their books. So a big tip of the hat to our Rotaract family members who are watching our broadcast today.
And this is just the beginning, Jen.
Yeah.
There's actually opportunities to sign up for many more events that are going to be happening over the next few days. So if you haven't had a chance, please do register at the links provided.
And a lot of different conversations, navigating burnout, empathetic leadership, and creating inclusive space in our organization. So a really wide range of topics that I know are of great interest to many of you who are watching our broadcast today. So to all of you, thank you so much for spending International Women's Day with us. I'm so glad that I got to share it with you.
Likewise.
Be well, and hopefully everything is good in your world. Stay tuned. More to come.
Thank you for all you do.